Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Flossmas. I'm Deborah, and it is so good to be with you this morning. Today is Sunday, December 8, 2024, and today is also the second Sunday of Advent, in addition to being our second episode. So, as you can see, we're filming very early in the morning. The sun has not yet risen, but I figured this was going to be a good time to get it taken care of today. And what better way to start my day than talking about stitching and being with you for a little while. So I hope that you enjoy the couple of minutes that we spend together talking about stitching and advent calendars and Advent itself. And I hope also that if you are tuning in maybe on the weekend or maybe later, that you if you participated in the jingle ball, that you enjoyed that. I did have a good day yesterday of just sitting and stitching and watching the entertainment and the meet and greets. I was able to attend a class at the end of the day as well, so weekends tend to be my introvert recovery time, so I really haven't been joining in on the stitching groups or anything like that, but still there is lots to do there. Just something I look forward to every year at this point. So again, just a quick episode today to kind of show you a little bit of progress on my stitching on my advent calendars and a few other things. So with that, I think we will... Oh, the other thing I was going to say is this week you may have noticed that there actually are some Christmas decorations in the background of my video. I did get most of that taken care of this week, which was good. I've got my tree up, and I just feel like having the lights, having the decorations up just changes the mood of the house. It changes the mood of the season. And so I really enjoy I don't enjoy getting those things up. Does anybody enjoy the process of getting Christmas decorations up? But once they are up, I enjoy them very much. And you can see behind me, in particular, one of my favorite stitches, which is my Christmas market by Twin Peak Primitives that I stitched last year. And it was such a pleasure to pull that out again this year and get it on display. So I left it up quite long last year. And that will probably happen again this year. So it was just good to see some old friends come out for another visit. So, all right, with that, I think we will get started. You may remember last time that I said that part of what I'm going to be doing for Flossmas is I'm going to be stitching, my goal is to stitch 4 smalls over the next couple of weeks. Maybe something I get fully finished, maybe something that I just get finished. But it was an opportunity to pull out a couple of those small pieces and get those stitched. And as I was decorating my Christmas tree, I was thinking, I really could use some more pieces for my Christmas tree. There's a lot of holes that could be filled in with cross stitch. So I did actually manage to keep my first goal this week, which was working on Reindeer Games by With Thy Needle and Thread. And this is one where I am just stitching one of the pieces here, and it's the piece in the lower corner there. Got lots of glare. And so it's just those couple of reindeer with the pile of peppermints. And rather than stitching it on 40 count, which is what the model is stitched on, I chose to stitch mine on 28 count. You know what? Let me do this. I stitched mine on 28 count because I specifically wanted it to be a bigger piece for how I'm going to be finishing it. And I actually got almost all of this done during the Jingle Ball yesterday. When I started, I had this little pile of peppermints, and I worked tirelessly throughout the day to get the rest of this stitched. I was kind of surprised that I was able to accomplish it, but fantastic. And you know what? The white fill-in was not the worst thing ever. I didn't enjoy the reindeer very much, but for whatever reason, the white this time didn't bother me, which I feel like is the opposite of what most people say when they're stitching snow. But I really do enjoy those colors. They're just vibrant and bright. The lighting isn't great this morning. Sorry about that. But such a cute piece. And I am excited to get that fully finished and out on display. One of the things I may actually spend some time doing today is doing a bunch of fully finishing. I have some pieces that are getting close to being ready to do that. So I think that will be my plan for the day, is to get a bunch of work done on that. So that is definitely something that would be a fairly easy finish based on what I am planning to do with it. So that was Reindeer Games by With Thy Needle and Thread. I do have a couple of more pieces to stitch over the next couple of weeks, as I mentioned. I'm going to show you 2 of them because, kind of like I said, I'm don't fully have 4 weeks in which to be stitching, so I'm kind of working ahead a little bit on the pieces that I have. And so the 2 that I am probably going to pick up next are this Holiday Harmony French horn piece, and this is a Mill Hill ornament kit. This was a gift from a fellow stitcher last year, and I have been waiting and looking forward to being able to stitch it all year. I'm a seasonal stitcher, so it did wait, but I have been really excited to work on that one. So that is probably potentially next on the list. And then all I've done is I've just kitted up the threads so that they're ready to go. This is a homemade floss card I made out of a postcard from a coffee company I like. So whenever I do the Mill Hill kits, I always use a smaller bag. I make my own floss cards, and it's just something that I enjoy about the process of stitching the little Mill Hill kits. So this one is not as much stitching as some of the other pieces. I think it's a little more beading. Plus, of course, it's got that giant hole in the center, so not quite as much stitching as some of the other ornaments. So it's possible that will be the next piece I pick up. The other one I might pick up is Humbug by Hello from Liz Matthews. This was originally a piece that was released with the Black Needle Society. They put out a beautiful edition of Christmas Carol, which I have been jealous of ever since, but it was fully released to everybody, I think last year at the Jingle Ball or around this time of last year. So another very quick stitch, and I have kitted it up with all of the called for threads, which are DMC. I haven't quite unbominated some of those yet, but easy palette to pull, just a couple of different colors. And then for most of the pieces that I'm stitching, I had this little scrap of, I think it's 32 count flax by Zweigart. I just had a long skinny strip of it, and so most of my pieces will actually fit on there. It's not a lot of stitching space around the edges, but nice to be able to kind of get through some of those scraps of fabric. So most of the pieces I already have done one on it, and then the other piece I have kitted up for this season is also going to be stitched on a little scrap of that. So one or both of those projects will be started this week, and hopefully we'll be able to show you some good progress when we meet again next week. So that is my stitching progress over the last week or so. The next thing to talk about is, of course, our advent calendars. So I have been opening up 3 advent calendars with you this year. One is, I think everybody's doing this one, the Historical Sampler Company, which is one I purchased last year and had to get it again this year because I enjoyed it so much. And then I'm also doing the threads from Tom and Lily Creations. And then I have a Lego advent calendar, and it is kind of one that's not on the commercial market. I go into more detail in my first video if you are interested, but those are the 3 that I have been opening with you. But before I do today's selection, I did want to show you the pieces that I have received over the last week since we were last together. I won't open all of those with you, but I can show you kind of what each day brought. And so these are the threads that we've received so far from Tom and Lily. The theme this year was something about luck. I forget exactly what it was called, but something about luck. And what I really like about this is it's a palette that can go throughout the entire year. So this was the one we opened up together last week. And then there was also this one that came later in the week, another very heavily variegated in terms of very different colors blended together. And the rest are kind of more standard, kind of more subtle variations, just dark and lighter shades of various flosses, which I enjoy stitching with. I just like seeing that little bit of color throughout. So as always, just beautiful threads. I believe they're color fast when they come out. You can always tell a thread that has been washed quite well it has a slightly different texture to it, but I personally appreciate the effort that goes into that because it means that they're color fast and they're safer to use in case of disaster. So those were our Tom and Lily's that we collected over the course of the week. And then from the Historical Sampler Company, there was a kind of a wider variety because, of course, it's more than just floss. Oh, the other thing I forgot is Tom and Lily also sent us this Averissois metallic as well, a very pretty blue. So from the Historical Sampler Company, we started last week, you may remember, with this pattern, the gingerbread house, and it came with a beautiful sage Ada that Zweigart produces for them. And then as the week progressed, we also received this really cute needle minder, which you can use on a project. Fantastic for this time of year. We received a little tin of finishing pieces. So there are a variety of different ribbons. There's a very tiny bow. There's some buttons in here and so a few other things. So just this really cute little package of versatile finishing ribbons and rickrack and some things like that that you can work on. So that will definitely be something that can be used for finishing this or other pieces. We also received a pair of beautiful little scissors with that heart-shaped handle. So those will definitely, I mean, you can never go wrong with a pair of scissors. So I am looking forward to having that. We also on one day received these beautiful kind of wooden, very well made floss drops, and then some anchor metallic thread on another day. And then we also received another pattern. There are 6 patterns in the pack this year. And so our second one was this Christmas Robins. And again, it came with some Ada, a beautiful blue from Zweigart. So there is always a plethora of beautiful things to receive from both of these boxes. And it is just that daily pleasure of opening them up. So that kind of catches you up on the past week. And then what we'll do is, I didn't show you my Legos. So you may remember last time that I was saying, I'm not sure what's going to be in this Lego set because let me see if I can do this. Over here, behind me is the advent calendar that I'm opening from Lego. This was an employee gift. And first you actually assemble the advent calendar and then you open up kind of little drawers every day. And I had said, so I saw the pieces that were going into the drawers, but I didn't make any effort to think about them, try and figure them out, other than kind of as I was putting them in thinking, how on earth is this going to make a particular piece? I was a little bit, not concerned. I was just trying to think about what we were actually going to be building. And I came to the conclusion we were going to be building one piece, like one thing over the course of the month. But it turns out that I was wrong. It is like all of the commercial advent calendars from Lego that you are building one discrete thing every day. But what it turned out to be is essentially an homage to Lego and the time of its creation itself. So you may remember last week we opened up our first thing, which was a minifig, and it's this guy with a little hammer. So he's an employee. He's somebody who's kind of working on stuff. It also explains kind of the 70s hair, I think, is you've got somebody of the time. And then the next day, what I opened up was what turned out to be a tiny little house, and it's kind of an homage to an original Lego set that was obviously much bigger, but kind of they had just a standard very limited palette of colors. And so it turned out to be just a tiny little version of another Lego set, which I thought was just so fun. And that kind of continued. So the day after that, we had an homage to a little wooden duck. This is actually, if you can tell, a little duck. And he's got his beak there and has his wheels that he can get pulled on. So it's just kind of a 70s era toy. So that one was really cute. We then got a couple of pieces that are essentially like workbenches and tools that would have been used, I think, by Lego at the time it was starting to develop its products. And so it's kind of little workbenches. And then we got the cutest little tractor. I don't know what this has to do with Lego. Maybe this is just something of the era, but it's just a teeny tiny little tractor. And then yesterday we wound up with this woman with her scissors, which I thought was very fitting for a stitching advent calendar as well. She's got her Fair Isle sweater on and her scissors, and these are absolutely fabric scissors, not paper scissors. I am sure. So, and she's also kind of got that 70s hair. So, rather than have you kind of sit and watch me put the Legos together, I will just kind of show you what I will be creating. So, as I mentioned, each day we have a little drawer that we open up. And so these are the pieces that we're going to be working with, kind of yellows and reds and white there. So, and then what we receive every day is a little notebook or a booklet that tells us that we can flip each day so we can't see the next day. So looks like what we're going to be making is, oh, that's fun. Okay, so we're going to be making just a tiny little guy who is intended to look like this Lego character. That'll be fun. So you can kind of see, like, they give you the idea, the original thing that they are trying to replicate, and then just this tiny little homage version of it. I love his hat. It's great. So that's what I'll be putting together after we finish filming today. And then in terms of my other advent calendars from Tom and Lily, I haven't opened these up. So we've got our day 8. They all come in these tiny little cute packages with stickers. I did undo the sticker so that you didn't have to listen to that. Let's see. Oh, well, first of all, we got some wonderful tea. So it's chamomile, vanilla, and honey. That'll be delicious. And then for our threads, oh, beautiful, beautiful yellow, just kind of, again, subtle variations in color from lighter to dark. So that will definitely be a very versatile piece. So that was our Tom and Lily threads for the day. And from Historical Sampler Company, we've got quite a large package. Not quite sure what this one is. Also, again, with very cute stickers. Let's see. Oh. Okay, so we got a little make your own macrame kit, and it's a gonk. I think that he's some sort of gnome. So you make a little macrame gnome. How cute. And it looks like it comes with essentially everything that you need. And this is by the company Trimmets, which is, I know, a UK company. So how fun. That will be just a cute little thing to work on of an evening, I think. So those were our advent calendars for the day. I look forward to sharing what I see over the course of the next week with you. And then the last thing that we have to talk about is just kind of talking about Advent itself. So as I mentioned last time, I am going through this week 'Tis the Season, which is a family Advent activity book. I purchased it primarily because I really like this artist, but I have been reading about each of the different weeks of Advent and then lighting my Advent calendars as we go. So can I do this? We've got two of our candles lit at this point. So last week we talked about hope, and then the second week of Advent is the week of faith. And so this time, again, it had a number of different readings and activities. Most of these are, of course, intended for families. And so there's a game of blind faith. They talk about trust falls. My first experience with trust falls was when I was kind of in my early teens and I was at a youth weekend, and we were told about trust falls by the kind of leader of this group, who then trusted us to catch him when he fell, and we did not. So that is what I always think of with trust falls, is adults should not rely on children alone to catch you when you're falling. I think that is in some ways a lesson of life, although of course, anyway. All right, so this week I thought what I would do is share just a couple of things. So there are these fun facts about the Nativity that I thought I would share. Some of them I was familiar with, and some of them I was not. So did you know that Saint Francis of Assisi, who is an Italian friar, was the first person to create a nativity scene with live animals? I did not know that. That is definitely something you see throughout the Advent season. Next, Mary and Joseph had to travel about 90 miles to reach Bethlehem from Nazareth. On foot, the journey would have taken about 4 days to a week. That I did know. That's part of what the story is the traveling there. Next, the reason we celebrate Christmas on December 25 is because Emperor Constantine decided in AD 336 to align the holiday with the winter solstice. As for Jesus' actual birth, it's more likely it took place in the spring, since that was the usual time of year for shepherds to be out with their flocks. I did know that as well. I like the fact that you can ground facts like this in reality. Like, shepherds wouldn't be out in December with their flocks. They would be out at a different time of year. Next, although nativities today usually depict baby Jesus in a wooden manger, it is more likely that he would have been placed in a stone feeding trough. So that's cold and less comfortable. But and I like that there are footnotes actually that explain their references. I have not pulled them up, but it is a referenced fact at least. And then the last one was, it is highly possible that both Joseph and Jesus were stonemasons or builders instead of carpenters, since the Greek word used to describe their profession is tekton, which means craftsman. Since the majority of structures in the first century were built out of stone, it is likely that that is the material that they worked with. That was another one I had not heard before. I have not looked up the reference to see where that information is coming from, but it's an interesting interpretation of how maybe translation and language really impacts our understanding and kind of traditions related to some of these holidays as well. So I hope that you also enjoyed reading and hearing those facts about the Nativity. And as I said, I hope that you are having a really wonderful stitching weekend and enjoying, as always, whether or not Christmas is the holiday that you celebrate or another holiday, that your holiday season is blessed and bright. And I will see you again next week. Bye, everybody.